Senator Inhofe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a little bit of time to start with, so I'll make this brief. There's one subject that never comes up in these hearings, and as I read your background, Mr. Schreiber, I think you're the right one to share my concerns with. I actually started some 30 years ago in the House, and I remember at that time we had adopted, I think way back in 1972, the One China option. That's what we've been operating under. Then, of course, we had the legislation formalizing that in 1979. There's a book that I read a long time ago, back when I was first elected. It was called Modernizing China by Anthony Kubek. You ever heard of that?
I have. I'm afraid I haven't read it.
Oh, all right. Well, it might be a good idea because as we move forward, and nothing has changed there. They're a great ally of ours. When we do our arms sales, we have to bundle it, and it actually has to come to Congress. A lot of time is wasted, and I'd like to have you. Do you have any thoughts right now on how that could be improved or should be improved?
I'd like to see a normal FMS relationship. I'd like to see a situation where Taiwan determines its requirements in consultation with us, but through their own process of determining requirements, puts forward letters of request, and they get answers. I'd like to see a normal, routine process. Yeah,
well, I would too. I appreciate that. And lastly, Mr. Rood, the concern I've always had, at least since the last parliamentary election in Ukraine, when for the first time in 96 years they don't have zero communists in their parliament. And then, of course, in the previous administration, some pretty bad things happened right after that parliamentary election, and there are a lot of people that were, Putin came in and started killing the Ukrainians. We had a policy at that time under the previous administration that we were not going to send them defensive weapons. That's changing now. And I just would ask as a final question, what do you think Putin is thinking? That he's gone through one administration where we were refusing to offer the things that those of us on this committee felt we should be offering, and now that's going to be changing. Are we moving in the right direction on that?
Senator, I think that I personally support the provision of defensive military equipment to Ukraine. I think that it is important that we stand with them as they face Russian aggression. I had the opportunity to visit Kiev, Ukraine last fall on a U.S. trade delegation and have the opportunity to meet with the President, the Defense Minister, National Security Advisor, and others. I came away with an appreciation that the Ukrainians are in a tough fight with the Russians there. The Russians have invaded the sovereignty of Ukraine, and so I think it's important to send a message to President Putin and others that we are prepared to support the Ukrainians in that regard, because I do think that President Putin sometimes perceives weakness on the part of the West.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.